In today's society, we all know that government funding is limited. The old way of building public housing and having a development managed by the housing authority is obsolete. Now, it's public-private partnerships and the voucher program. The Housing Choice Voucher Program economically changes the atmosphere for the housing authority. We're allowed to serve many more clients that have needs. By not owning properties, having maintenance staff, insurance payments, and other costs, we can free those funds to serve more clients.
Having every single person in that triangle to be well educated in every realm. Owner knowing what housing does, housing knowing what the landlord's responsible for, the tenant knowing what housing does for them and what the owner's responsible, and then what their rights as a tenant are.
As we move away from the traditional housing, the landlords are playing a more important role in providing that safety net so we can continue housing assistance for the community that we serve. For a landlord that's thinking, is this for me? I think that they have to also know of the positive attributes that goes along with being a landlord with the Housing Choice Voucher Program. One being the cash flow. They're going to get their money from the Housing Authority the first business day of that month. So they don't have to worry about, okay, am I going to get it on time, things like that. They're going to have their money. But we kind of do an initial criminal background and things like that as well. Can also provide them with the information from previous landlords. I always look at it, if you're looking at an applicant, you're expecting the applicant to tell the truth. But an applicant can kind of put down who they want for previous landlords, and they can just contact that person and say, hey, you're gonna get a call from such and such. But with the Housing Authority, you can always contact us and say, okay, who are the previous two landlords or so? And as long as they've been active in our system, we'll have that information. Another one is the inspection process. Biannual, we have to do an inspection on the unit. And so that landlord know that someone will be coming in, that the home remains in a good working order.
Right, so my experience with the inspections and the inspection process is something that actually can be easily accessed online from your local housing authority. So as you talked about, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors in places that have gas appliances or gas water heaters or furnaces, those things for prospective landlords are part of the checklist that you can oftentimes get from your local housing authority. So you can kind of go in with your eyes wide open. So I just have to make sure the windows open and closed, the property's painted if it's built, I think after like 1978 or something, lead-based paint's not an issue. What else do I need to do? You're gonna have your smoke detectors anywhere. You're gonna have carbon monoxide detectors anywhere. And of course the placement of those things is something that oftentimes they can tell you what you need to do in advance before the inspection actually happens. But you can walk through, in my experience, which is just go room by room in every property and just identify everything in the room.
The way that rent is determined, it's not just solely based on what the Housing Authority Champaign County will allow. It's different landlords, they put in what they want the rent to be. It should be based on what they would charge a non-voucher holder. However, we have to make sure things are rent reasonable, and so we use a third-party system in order to determine that. We do have local payment standards in which it cannot be above based on the census tract in which it's located. We have that based on if it's a multi-unit place or if it's a single-family home. And then we also still have to look into consideration if they pay for the heat or if it's not, the heat is included in the rent as well. The amenities of the house also determines if the contract rent can go up to a certain amount as well. So the more amenities that a person have in their home, they're able to ask for a little bit more as well.
If you are a landlord that's considering the Housing Choice Voucher Program, I would certainly encourage you to take a strong look at it and consider it. Like any program, it has its pros and cons, but I found that there are far more pros than cons. You're going to be receiving a participant, a client, a prospective tenant that's a little bit more knowledgeable and informed than maybe a fair market tenant, because the staff do a wonderful job of educating. You tend to also receive your rents more timely because participants know the consequences of late payments, etc. So I found with the program that I get better retention with some of my housing authority prospective tenants.
Not only is the benefit solely around the landlords, but also the community as a whole. When participants of the Housing Choice Voucher Program choose to live in a certain community, and they choose a certain landlord's property to rent, they take ownership. You know, they make the community better. Think about it. If it was empty property, the community goes down. So they plant flowers and they cut grass and they just help the upkeep of the community.
You know, when I started doing rentals and having housing choice voucher participants, that's been in excess of 15 years now. And I would be buying homes that were foreclosed and then maybe needed upgrading. But I would upgrade those properties not knowing who was ultimately going to actually live there, but hoping that it might be a housing choice voucher participant to offer them the opportunity to be the first person in this home with new carpet or new flooring or new appliances. And while on the industry side, we see it every day, it's just a microwave or it's just a new refrigerator. But to the participant, I wanted that young boy or girl to say, this is my room and it's got new carpet, it's got new paint and new doors, which I think raises the bar.
Home means a lot, and what I really enjoy about home is seeing, say, a participant when they open the doors and they looking at this home as possibly the place that they're going to reside and their family, and I put myself a lot into it, and then to see their reaction and appreciation for it and the way they take care of it. They take care of it like their own home.
I am a single parent of 6 kids. And so my experience with the program, there's times where I didn't have a job where it was such a blessing. I can't say I don't know where I would be if there wasn't a housing choice voucher program, or a lot of parents, a lot of single mothers, they're single fathers with children, where there are times that they didn't have jobs. But my experience, there are times I have had health issues where I couldn't work. And me and my kids will probably be homeless if it wasn't for this program.
I want to say thank you to all our current and prospective landlords. The program totally embodies growing and moving forward together.